Silent Hill is no longer a dead franchise. Who would have thought? Honestly, when the news broke for a Silent Hill announcement live stream, half of me just thought it was fake, and the other half felt like it would not really matter. Like it would just be a new set of figures and maybe some new exciting ways to gamble, and it'd be done. In other words, it was just going to be something I made a community post about and kind of just forget happened. That's not what ended up happening. Instead, what we got was the biggest news to come from the franchise since PT. We got 3 games, 1 new movie, and ARG, I think, and new merch. Well, yes, the announcements didn't show an awful lot in regards to specifics. I believe there's a shit ton to be excited about here. This video will be going into all of the major announcements made during the stream in order of how much I really have to say about them, broken up into chapters shown below. So without any more stalling, let's talk a little bit about Silent Hill, since apparently I'm a Silent Hill channel. I mean, they look cool. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really collect this stuff. The only Silent Hill merch I have is a life-size model of Pyramid Head's greatsword, and even then it was just made by a guy on Etsy. In general, I don't really have a couple $100 just lying around to spend on figures, but for those who do, they definitely look nice. Skateboards look cool too. I sure wish I knew how to skate. Silent Hill Ascension is, well, no one knows what the hell this thing is. It's being peddled as an experience, an idea, a state of mind. And from what it sounds like, it's probably an elaborate ARG meant to promote the other projects being worked on. What's shocking, though, is the talent. Like, you're telling me J.J. fucking Abrams, the Disney Star Wars guy, in collaboration with the world's largest bug farm, are making a promotional ARG. Honestly, like a lot of things in the showcase, it can really be anything of any quality. For this specifically, however, we'll have to wait until next year, and I, for one, am extremely excited for our Silent Hill dating sim. Okay, I get it. Townfall kind of falls into the same category as Ascension, but, at least we've kind of know what it is. The publisher will be Annapurna Productions, the same publisher of the Funny Cat game. Working with them is No Code Productions, a seemingly less experienced team, but one that specializes in horror. The trailer itself is basically just a narrator talking about how Silent Hill punishes those who need punishment, and, if you're familiar with Silent Hill 2, you know all of what he's talking about. It also makes reference to a specific person and or thing punishing the main character, so you know what that means. It flashes to this cassette player with a screen flashing a number of images from what I can assume to be snuff films Konami has on file, and, that's really it. The interview afterwards doesn't really reveal too much. This is going to be a trend for the rest of the stream. There's a focus towards the desk, which, at least in my mind, hints at this being like a hub or the menu. Maybe the game's in first person. Maybe this is finally fucking PT. Stories Untold, a game developed by No Code, is essentially the concept I would wager they're going for in this. A first-person horror puzzle game in a limited environment. But I can also be completely wrong. If the game looks nearly as good as the trailer does, at least it'll be pretty, regardless of what the actual gameplay is. Speaking of... So, story time. The original Silent Hill was created in response to Resident Evil's success in Japan, and as a result, Silent Hill was made to corner the American horror market, and part of that was linking the franchise with small-town Americana. Fast forward 23 years, and now they seem to be doing the exact opposite. Out of all the games showcased during the stream, this seems like the franchise's next true step forward. And I think it's kind of funny that they're doing it by tearing it away from part of the foundation the franchise was built on. This isn't a bad thing, by the way. Part of why the series after 4 has been lackluster to me is its hyperfixation on trying to repeat the success of previous games. They would try something brand new, but never really commit to it. Here, they kind of have to. There's no Pyramid Head here. F seems completely divorced from not just Downpour, but the rest of the series. Even the Otherworld looks completely different. In pretty much every Silent Hill game, the Otherworld is a hellish landscape of rust and viscera, with, the occasional fire. To me, most of Silent Hill's Otherworld landscapes remind me of a nightmarish abandoned factory, common sights in abandoned northern American cities. In F, however, it's more tranquil, but still captures the same amount of unease. Fun fact, I have only one phobia, trypophobia, or the fear of repeating holes, especially coming from the skin. In other words, fuck this trailer. That is all. Overall, though, I'm a massive fan of how both the Otherworld and the overall setting seems to look. It's brand new, but still evocative of Silent Hill. It gives off the same kind of feeling. The head writer, Ryuki Shio 7, has apparently authored a shit ton of good horror visual novels. I haven't read any of them thoroughly yet, but from a brief glance, it seems like they match Silent Hill fairly well. Sure, writing novels and being the head writer of a game are two entirely separate jobs, but I believe a lot of the talents are applicable to either, and in general, the choice sits right with me. The game is being developed by Neobards Entertainment, the same group of devs that worked on Resident Evil 7 and the remakes of 2 and 3. In terms of judging the many future Silent Hill projects based on talent alone, F is probably the most stacked, and I'm personally glad to see that Konami seems to be putting the most into what is likely the beginning of a new era of Silent Hill. Final thing, I really like the remix Silent Hill theme. I have a lot to say about the Silent Hill movies, none of which I'm going to be saying here because I want to save it for a full video in the future. But here, in the middle of the rest of the announcement, we get the next Silent Hill movie. The original Silent Hill movie was loosely based off of the first game. The second Silent Hill movie was loosely based off an acid trip, and now the return to Silent Hill is loosely based off of the second game. Honestly, shocked it took them this long to do it. The director of the first film, Christoph Gans, is back at the helm, along with producer Victor Hadida, who produced a number of Resident Evil films, including the most recent one, Welcome to Raccoon City, which, make of that what you will. Like pretty much everything in this announcement, it doesn't show an awful lot, and a lot of the interviews just saying, I like Silent Hill. We're gonna change a few things though, but I pinky promise we'll stay true to the source material this time and not make James a girl. The concept art looks sick, the storyboards look sick, but in general, there's not really too much to go off here. There's a KFC truck, Gons is a gamer,
Christoph is the real gamer.
and none of this really matters because at least in the storyboards, Pyramid Head finally has the right head. Love to see it. I know what you're asking. Why is James hot? And to that I ask, when was he not? The Silent Hill 2 remake is arguably the highlight of the livestream, and the project we likely have the most info on. For years, the series has tripped over itself time and time again, trying to recapture the magic of 2, and honestly, it's equal parts shocking and relieving that they're just cutting out the middleman and remaking it. Like the other trailers, most of what's been shown off is a ton of CGI. Okay, while editing this video, apparently the developers have came out on Twitter to say that this is all made in engine. It's still up in the air whether or not the game will actually look like this, but it's not just a CGI trailer, apparently. But there's some pretty solid takeaways. James Sunderland no longer looks like a goober and doesn't really sound like one either, but we'll get to that in a second. The mocap work, it looks great, both in terms of action and facial expressions, even if they are a little overexpressive sometimes. The town, at least in concept, looks better than it ever has before. Like, God, this shot alone speaks for itself. Speaking of art direction, composer Akira Yamaoka and monster designer Masahiro Ito are back, which is great news. Ito in particular is rather interesting considering his opinions on where the franchise has gone since his and the rest of Team Silent's departure. But with him back on this project, it seems like this might turn out a little different. Also, having Yamaoka on this project basically ensures that this soundtrack is going to bang. I, for one, can't wait to hear and see what these Silent Hill veterans have in store. Speaking of, let's discuss the devs, Bloober Games. Now, this has raised a significant amount of eyebrows as of late, with many already kind of writing off the studio. They definitely have a stigma of working on a lot of walking sim horror games, and their writing has often been pretty subpar. And as a result, many are nervous to see what their Silent Hill will look like. To me, however, I don't really see it. For one, the groundwork is already there. Do I expect them to copy and paste the script? No, and, I don't really want them to. Silent Hill 2's script was great, but, it wasn't a masterpiece. But considering they don't just torch the old script, they already have a pretty solid foundation. While I'm slightly mixed on the voice acting so far, we've only gotten 2 characters, and they're the 2 characters who arguably got the best voice talent behind them in the original game. Like the script itself, the voice acting in the original was good, at least for the time, but definitely has some points where it's a little weak. Like, yeah, I get it, the delivery is supposed to sound weird to match the unsettling dreamlike environment, but still, Personally, it just makes a lot of moments unintentionally comedic to me. Secondly, is Silent Hill really that gameplay orientated? Like, sure, a game should be fun to play. Only hot takes on this channel. But Silent Hill is much more entrenched in its atmosphere, and so far that atmosphere seems to be hitting the spot. And similar to the issues with writing, the foundation is already there for decent gameplay. Is Bloober the best devs they could have gone to work on this? No. Am I extremely worried that they'll fuck it up? Not really. Oftentimes when a Silent Hill game doesn't really hit the mark, it's usually due to an unprepared dev team and micromanagement from Konami itself. And while I can't tell if Konami will repeat its own history, Bloober is far from inexperienced. I think they can do this remake justice, especially with talent from the original game coming in to assist. Do I think this project will outshine or even be on par with the original? No, not really. But from everything shown so far, it looks promising. Random other opinions slash pieces of info I couldn't really fit anywhere. Over-the-shoulder camera is a massive win. I personally don't find tank controls fun, and I'm tired of pretending that I do. Pyramid Head's design looks sick. It's not new, it's clearly a refurbished Silent Hill 2 Pyramid Head, and that's great. If there's no dog ending, I'm boycotting the game and implore anyone watching to do the same. The car door should still be open. And finally, I like how unhinged James looks in this game. Really sells the fact that he's a wife killer. So like that, after 3 games, 1 movie, and 1 ARG, we're at the end. To put it simply, I feel pretty optimistic. The announcement wasn't perfect, everything's not suddenly sunshine and rainbows, and who knows, maybe Bloober actually will fuck up the remake beyond repair. Maybe Neobards will ruin Silent Hill F, screwing up what is essentially a true reboot for the series. Maybe the movies will be boring and lackluster, Townfall will be an unremarkable point and click, and behavior will find a way to ruin whatever the hell Ascension is. It's too early to really judge much of anything, but for once, I'm choosing to remain optimistic. And frankly, I'm excited as to where this Undead franchise is going next. Oh yeah, and the Resident Evil 4 remake looks sick. Love the chainsaw blocking knife. Anyways, back to work on my next long form video.